Well, I thank you so much for holding this hearing, Chairman Tierney, and for inviting me to participate. I want to associate myself with the comments of all my colleagues here on the panel, and I won't go over some of the same ground that they've covered. We've articulated that Darfur is a huge crisis. Your holding this hearing shows that you understand the strategic importance that China can play right now in this fortuitous moment of having a close strategic and economic partner of the Sudanese government being the host of the Olympics. So the question today is, what might be done to pressure China? What are all the tools at our disposal? I want to tell you about a new campaign that I am, it's called the Olympic Dream for Darfur, that has just launched. It's part of the broader Darfur advocacy community, and it's one very concrete way that we want to use the Olympics as a point of leverage to convince China to cause Khartoum to consent to a real UN protection force and to engage in a peace process. What we're doing is launching a symbolic Olympic torch relay that will go from Darfur to Beijing. We're starting this in August 8th, which is a year from the opening ceremonies of the Olympics, and we're going to go through countries historically associated with genocide and mass slaughter. We're starting in Chad. We have the great Darfur advocate Mia Farrow is going to, and others have been invited, and we welcome anyone who would like to join us on this trip, members of this subcommittee. If there's any leg of this relay, it's something to train for. I was going to say, what I have to train with this route if there's any leg of this trip that you would like to join us on, you would be most welcome if it fits your schedule. We're starting as close to Darfur as we can get, so likely in Chad. We're going then to Rwanda, Armenia, Sarajevo. We're going to Germany. We're going to Cambodia, and we'll likely end in Hong Kong. I'm not sure the Chinese will welcome us in, but we're going to try. And when we're in Hong Kong, we're going to talk about the rape of Nanjing to highlight China's own history with the killing of civilians. We're also going to hold with our colleagues here, many of whom are in this room, a symbolic torch relay here in the United States to show solidarity with that global relay. One point I want to mention, it turns out that at the genocide memorials in a lot of those countries, they have an eternal flame. And so we have now just gotten our torch, and it looks very much like a torch that the Janjaweed uses to torch these villages as symbolic. And we're going to light that torch from those eternal flames, just as a way to show you how we want to put pressure on China. Our message is, China, please, bring the Olympic dream to Darfur. I want to especially underline the comments of the athletes who have spoken and say, we do not support a boycott of the Olympics. We do believe in this Olympic ideal and the idea that countries, we want to live in a world where countries do battle in sporting arenas and where the Olympic Games are where countries send young men and women to show their patriotism and their physical prowess. So that is a very important point. So the question then is, what can be done? I'm hoping that if people feel energized and moved by the things they've heard today, they will join us in our relay. If I may, dreamfordarfur.org is how you can get involved. Sorry. Dreamfordarfur.org. Thank you. And it's FOR, not the numeral. Dreamfordarfur.org. Thank you. There are a couple things that I do want to make clear about what we can all do together. The people we're mobilizing on this relay, they are right now writing emails, getting ready for rallies, writing letters to the International Olympic Committee, to the Olympic corporate sponsors, to the some 200 national Olympic committees, to the UN, which has a role to play in international sporting. And they are asking all of those bodies to intercede with the Olympic host. And I want to be clear, as Ambassador Rawson said, that China has taken many steps since we've started this effort, since our community has been doing divestment and placing ads and making ourselves heard. It is, of course, welcome but not nearly sufficient. We want to say that there's only one outcome that China must secure from Khartoum, and that is adequate and verifiable security for civilians in Darfur. Not an envoy, not just 275 engineers, not statements, but adequate and verifiable security for for civilians in Darfur. And we would like you to urge, if you are able, that if Khartoum doesn't comply with China on that China then takes action, that it doesn't provide the interest-free loan for a new presidential palace, that it doesn't forgive up to $80 million in Sudan's debt, that it really has consequences if Sudan does not consent to allowing a true protection force into Darfur. We're hoping that we can create some space for policymakers to act. If there are ways members of Congress and members of this subcommittee can approach the Olympic sponsors, can approach the International Olympic Committee and say that they do not want the Olympics tarnished by genocide, that the Olympic host cannot be complicit in an ongoing genocide, because we are really racing with the clock, as we all well know. The survivalist regime in Khartoum is prepared to do all that is necessary to ensure the success of its genocidal counterinsurgency. And if we don't act now, this robust civilian protection force is going to be moot, because there will be just far, far fewer people in Darfur to protect. So as a body, and thank you for holding this hearing, please insist that China exert its leadership immediately to bring the Olympic dream to Darfur. Thank you so much for holding this hearing.
Thank you.